Some advice from an experienced traveler: when traveling throughout the world, before you do anything else, you should determine the purpose of your trip. For example, it's a great idea to go to Paris to propose to someone. No one can turn you down there. I've personally checked 3 times. Or take Milan. People often travel there to refresh their wardrobes. Germany or the Czech Republic are great places to go to drink beer and eat roast shank and those, oh, what are they called? Sausages, yes. New York is the perfect place to buy a new smartphone and walk along Broadway, but this city, guys, is visited by tourists from all over the world to feel freedom. It was here that locals came up with the idea of not putting curtains in their windows, as if to demonstrate that they have nothing to hide. It's here that cyclists ride around the city all year long, breaking all conceivable and inconceivable laws of physics. It's here that the concept of live and let live is followed by the locals as the main principle for their way of life. Without that, in my opinion, real freedom is impossible. I, Alexander Pryanikov, and the program World Market invite you to Amsterdam, the best city on earth. Though there's much more water than earth here, my friends. It's no wonder the locals joke that God created the earth and the Dutch created Holland. You may laugh, but over 40% of the country's territory is below sea level. Huge areas of land were reclaimed from the sea by hard-working local people. Such is the case when it comes to their capital. Amsterdam began as a small fishing village on the banks of the Amstel River. In the middle of the 13th century, they built a dam here. In Dutch, dam is dam, by the way. Soon the settlement became a city, which they called Amsterdam. And well, sometime after that, some speech therapists appeared, and thanks to them, the locals finally learned how to pronounce the letter R properly and started to call the city what it's called to this day. You can get around Amsterdam a number of different ways. You can always walk. That's if you are a world champion in competitive long-distance walking. It's best to bear in mind that Amsterdam might not seem like a very big city, but it's not a very small one either. You can ride around on a bike, but it's important to note here that the locals don't really like tourists riding bicycles because they get in everyone's way, thus brazenly violating the principle, live and let live. Driving is not an option here at all because motorists are treated even worse than cyclists in Amsterdam. Of course, there is a well-developed public transport system here if you haven't gotten fed up with using such means in your homeland. But I still think that the best way to travel around Amsterdam is by boat through the canals of the city, because first of all, the best view of the city is to be found from the water, where you can look at the local architecture from the bottom up. Secondly, you can get to any point in the city without any risk of getting stuck in a traffic jam or getting crushed by cyclists. Deep in their souls, modern Dutch people are the same type of merchants that their ancestors were, and they were the founders of the legendary Dutch East India Company, a giant trading empire that existed for nearly 2 centuries, from the early 17th to the end of the 18th century. A couple of centuries of trade domination on the planet was enough to convince the Dutch that everything in the world hinges on trade. So it's no surprise that one of the best markets in Europe is not somewhere in Paris, but here in Amsterdam. I'll be honest, this isn't the first time I've been to Amsterdam, or the 10th for that matter, but to my great embarrassment, I've never made it to these places, because like most travelers who come here, I've always limited my visits to the area in and around Dam Square because, to be honest, it has everything that you need. Well, you understand, that's what I thought, and now I know for sure that if you leave the beaten path of Dam Square, the Van Gogh Museum, Rijksmuseum, the Anne Frank House Museum, and find Albert Cuyp Street, hello to my colleagues, you'll immediately find yourself in the largest market in Amsterdam. The Albert Cuypmarkt occupies the whole street of the same name, in the very center of the city, next to the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum. If you'd like, you can also get here by public transport. In this case, you'll need to take the number 7 or 10 tram. You can also walk on foot, just keep out of the bike lanes. They're deadly. Travel time is exactly 10 minutes. And now to the main event. The Dutch, as you know, are great inventors. They came up with the first stock exchange, telescopes, submarines, and speed cameras, which can now be found in abundance on the world's roads. And this is one of their inventions too. They also came up with the wildest and best reality TV shows. But when it comes to the culinary arts, the residents of the Netherlands don't really have anything to boast about, truth be told. The Dutch are much better artists than cooks, meaning they can draw food much better than they can prepare it. The Netherlands, in fact, gave the rest of the world only 3 dishes, and today I'll show you and tell you all about each of them. Let's get started with the first of the 3. Unsurprisingly, Amsterdam is full of fish. Don't forget, my friends, that Amsterdam as a city started as a fish market, and the North Sea is nearby, rich with fishing traditions. So what did you expect? Plus, given that Amsterdam is now a major transportation hub, they bring in seafood from all over the world in addition to the fish they catch here. Here it is. Look, golden dorado from the Mediterranean. What else can we find here? Hake from the North Sea, salmon, tuna, and snapper, which we also saw in Malaysia. It comes from the Asian seas, but we haven't come here for this beauty. The fish we've come here for is much smaller, simpler, and cheaper. But despite its size and simplicity, it is this fish in particular that is the main symbol of Amsterdam. So my friends, it is time for this episode's edition of World Market Dictionary. Today's letter is H, and here H is for herring. Or I should say, soused raw herring. True connoisseurs argue that you can't find herring this delicious anywhere else in the world. The herring season begins in May in Amsterdam and lasts 2 months. During this period, the whole city is packed with kiosks bearing the signs Holland's New Herring or Young Dutch Herring. You can also find it and give it a try in any restaurant, but there it will cost you as much as oysters. Or you can buy it in supermarkets if you like impersonal, confined spaces. But the best option is to go to the Albert Cuypmarkt. The market is full of places selling Amsterdam's traditional herring, but only one vendor had the honor of serving this simple fish to Queen Beatrix. Helen, why did Her Majesty the Queen of the Netherlands take a liking to your stall? Why did she come to you?
Because we have the oldest stand in the market. It's 100 years old. The quality of our herring has been proven over time.
Why is herring so popular in Amsterdam? This is a very unpretentious fish, isn't it? It's not like oysters or black caviar.
Because it is simple, cheap, and tasty.
Not too salty, guys. Delicious. It's delicious, guys. This is the fattiest herring I've ever tried. It's no wonder, though, since it's in season. Hi, girls. Where are you from?
From St. Petersburg.
Oh, great.
What are you doing here?
We're tasting herring here.
How do you eat it?
Like this.
Ah.
Aha! From St. Petersburg. You're from St. Petersburg, but you act like you're from a small village. Watch, you can eat it like this with bread. That's the touristy approach. Normal people eat it like this, like you see in the picture. Take the tail, and who's first?
The whole fish, and by the tail.
No, well, you, for example. Bite off half the herring, and then the second half, and like this. Well, take the tail. Well, you aren't a big fat Dutch fisherman, are you? Come on, you first, like this, by the tail.
Wow.
Have you never really eaten it like this?
No.
Come on, look. And like that. This is the model for a new sculpture. Like it? A model for a new sculpture. A girl from St. Petersburg eating herring in Amsterdam. Now your turn.
Great.
Like this, have a cucumber with it.
Cucumber?
At least it's fun. Is this your first time in Amsterdam?
Yes, it is.
And have you been here for long?
It's our first day.
Your first day, your first time in Amsterdam. Girls, be careful, be careful. It can be addictive. Eat up. Really, you wouldn't know looking at you. You look like decent girls. Decent.
But we're already addicted.
Decent girls, as a rule, don't get addicted.
We're already addicted. We're already addicted.
Don't forget to give this serious man $3.50.
Okay.
Cut! Young, soused, Dutch, herring. $2.80 per portion. And now it's time to talk about the second product that's made the Kingdom of the Netherlands famous around the world. I hope the French will forgive me. I'm talking about cheese. There are many proverbs and sayings about cheese in Holland. There's, he'll never allow anyone to eat his cheese. They say this when referring to a person who can stand up for themselves. Or, for him, it's like cheese. That's used when a person finally gets what they've been dreaming of. The average Dutchman eats 37.5 pounds of cheese a year. If you were to multiply that by the country's population of 16 million people, you'd be left with a very impressive figure. Holland produces 1,433 million pounds of cheese annually, and Gouda cheese makes up a substantial percentage of the total production. By the way, that cheese was named Gouda, honoring a small town located in the south of the country, where it's been made according to a special recipe since as early as the 14th century. Even as a child, I knew what Dutch cheese was. Not because I'm, a child of diplomats or something, but because in the Soviet Union, any kind of cheese with holes in it was called Dutch cheese. But we're finally actually in Amsterdam, so it's time we found out what real Dutch cheese tastes like. The owner of this shop is a great person. His name's Flores, and he's not just a cheesemaker, he's like a cheesemaker scientist. He invents new varieties of cheese. He makes not only usual Dutch cheeses, but also unusual Dutch cheeses. I mean that in the best sense of the word. I haven't forgotten that we're in Amsterdam after all, you guys. Flores, my friend, is it true that the main distinguishing feature of Dutch cheese is holes in the cheese?
Yes, absolutely. Here, take for example one of our famous cheeses, Amsterdam. It has holes all over. Or Gouda. Or here's Edam. They make up the trio of our world-famous cheeses.
I see it here. It says you have more than 100 varieties of Gouda?
Yes, yes.
Why do you need so many?
We have a lot of cheeses with various herbs added to them. Here's a funny colored cheese.
What's so funny about it?
Red, green.
Due to herbs?
Yes, here, look, cheese with lavender.
With lavender?
Yes, and here's the newest one with mint and with wild cranberries, our new creation.
And who created it?
Me. All of these cheeses are my creations. Here I also have a cheese which is very popular with our customers. Look. We call it rainbow cheese. 3 colors inside one cheese.
I must say, it's really some kind of psychedelic cheese.
It took me 3 years to create it. This is Gouda with paprika and hot chili, based on goat and cow's milk.
And how did you make it so colorful?
First, I made green cheese with paprika. Then I made red cheese. Then I waited a bit. Then I mixed the 2 cheeses and waited until they hardened.
So if you compare the prices for cheese sold in the market against cheese sold in the grocery store, where is it cheaper?
In grocery stores, prices are higher, but the quality is worse because they add a lot of water to the cheese while making it. That makes it heavier and more expensive.
How do you choose the right Dutch cheese? What do you need to pay attention to, first and foremost?
I always tell people, buy a classic.
Is this a classic?
Yes, this is 1-year-old Gouda. Everyone likes it, both the young and the old. You can't go wrong with this. Or choose cheese by its color. Buy multicolored cheeses. They're funny. Or feel free to experiment with taste, with the age of the cheese, with its hardness. Everyone chooses for themselves what to buy.
Dutch cheese with lavender costs $2.50 for 3.5 ounces. Cheese with mint and cranberries costs $1.90. Dutch rainbow cheese costs $2.80 for the same amount. 5-year-old Gouda costs $2.50. 1-year-old Gouda is $1.96 for 3.5 ounces. And baby Gouda is $8.90 for 3 wheels. By the way, the city of Gouda, located in the south of the Netherlands, is not only the birthplace of the world-famous cheese, but also the #1 local dessert. And that dessert is called stroopwafels, a marvelous thing. I must tell you, but if you're on a diet, forget about them. They are calorie bombs. but the taste is incredible. Alex, hello.
Hi, Alex.
How cool, you're Alex and I'm Alex too.
Yes, we have the same name. Great.
Listen, I've seen a lot of waffle kiosks in the market, but there's only a crowd of people in front of yours. Why's that? Did you win first place in a beauty contest among local vendors?
No, I have a small kiosk, but here we have waffles of the best quality. This kiosk belongs to my family. We've been making waffles for many years now, so we know how to make the best and most delicious ones.
Would you have to kill me if you told me the secret to your waffles? Huh?
No, but my father will kill me if I do. He's now 72 years old. When he started out, imagine this, he had to work for 6 whole months without pay for an elderly pastry chef just to learn the recipe for these waffles. And when in the end he finally got it, he came straight from Gouda to Amsterdam and opened a kiosk here. That was 45 years ago.
So you aren't going to tell me your secret, are you?
No, otherwise I will have problems. Do you know how many times I've been invited to all sorts of cooking shows? They say, "Come on our show, tell us your secret." My answer is always no. This is a family business, and we have no plans to expand it. We want to stay small.
Would you at least allow me to cook a waffle?
I'll show you how to make them, and you'll repeat what I do.
Perfect.
First, you put a piece of dough in the waffle maker. I'll show you. Then you repeat. Then you take the waffle out and cut it in half. This is the most difficult part. Cut it like this. Take this. Hold one piece. You should spread the syrup gently and lavishly on the second piece. Then you close it up and you have made a real stroop waffle. It's very hot. Here you go, try it.
It seems to me that the stroopwafel is one of the simplest desserts in the world. Why do you think they're so popular?
Because they're hot, fresh, and of high quality. No other waffles can compare to them. You can look, but you'll never find anything tastier. Have you finished yours? Now, try to make some money.
I have a great chance to make a fool of myself in front of the whole market now. The knife, by the way, isn't all that sharp. Aha, you think, aha. No, it's not as hard as it seems, my dear Alex, because as far as I can see, he just takes 2 pieces of dough and makes these waffles from 2 pieces of dough. And in principle, while they're being baked, they don't merge completely. Wait a second, give me a chance. The time it takes to cut one waffle. Alex would, of course, have already managed to cut a whole truck of waffles, but I have a voila. Oh, no, 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 no.
Everything's fine. You lost a small piece, but it's not a problem. Great job. For your first time, it's not bad at all.
Stroopwafel, $1.70 for a single waffle, $2.80 for 1 package, or $6.70 for 3 packages. Every market smells different. Balkan markets, for example, are fragrant with the scent of fresh paprika. Asian ones smell of exotic fruits. Scandinavian markets are filled with the scent of shrimp and other seafood. And the main market in Amsterdam has its own specific smell too. It took me quite a bit of time to find the source of the smell. Cheese, herring, and stroopwafel are all good, of course, but we are in Amsterdam after all. In Amsterdam. And it's time, guys, to show you the place that no one else will show you. 100% exclusive. It's here in the Albert Cuypmarkt that there is a store that sells the best herbs and powders in the world. Is it clean?
Nothing cleaner.
100%?
100%.
Perfect. From Colombia?
No, from Côte d'Ivoire.
The Ivory Coast? Wow, how much is it?
It costs $28.
For 0.04 ounces? That's so cheap!
For the whole package. It's Amsterdam.
A rare thing, by the way, my friends. Sugar powder with the world's best vanilla that comes from the Ivory Coast. Something you won't find easily. This store, by the way, sells lots of other things too. If If you can read Dutch, you'll understand this yourself. If not, take my word for it, guys. It says that there are 350 varieties of spices and herbs sold in this store from all around the world, and it's all in alphabetical order. That is, sellers literally swear that if you can't find something here, it means that it simply doesn't exist in nature. This store also sells a local delicacy, which everyone here enjoys. Here it is. These are licorice candies. I'm getting ready to buy them now. Now, these are not ordinary candies made from licorice, but these candies are made from salted licorice. And not just salted, but from twice salted licorice. In my opinion, this is the most unappetizing candy in the world. I have a friend who likes to travel to exotic countries where there are little villages and children usually chase you begging for coins and candy. So he carries these things with him and gives them to local children, after which they leave him alone forever. $1.90. Lord, how can you eat it with your own free will? I don't understand. My friends, I feel like I've just chewed on, my grandmother's handkerchief. Actually, it's really, in principle, it's the ideal treat if you're a masochist deep down inside. Ugh, that's enough. I can't eat this anymore. Excuse me. Oh, Lord. Having visited the beautiful Albert Cuypmarkt, you can go right back home. If someone tells you anything like that, I advise you to laugh right in their face, like this. Ha 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 ha! Because there is another fascinating market in the main city of the Netherlands, and you really must visit it. To be honest, I, like most real men, am really only interested in flowers one day a year. For Russians, this is on the 8th of March, Women's Day. But if you're also interested in flowers for the remaining 364 days, then you're most likely, my friend, a florist. But don't be discouraged. First of all, it's now fashionable. And secondly, in Amsterdam, you'll definitely find something to do because here is the source of energy for all the florists in the world. One of the most famous flower markets, the Bloemenmarkt. They've been selling flowers in Amsterdam since the 17th century, though in the old days, merchants sold them from boats going along canals. In 1862, the city authorities built a special building for them, which is located on the Amsterdam Signal Canal, very close to Dam Square. The main product in the Bloemenmarkt is, of course, tulips. And now pay attention, 50 young, fresh, best-in-the-world tulips cost only 10 euros. That's about $11, so 22 cents for one tulip. In many cities in the world, tulips are much more expensive. This simple arithmetic tells us that to be a gallant gentleman in Amsterdam is much cheaper than anywhere else in the world. If you don't want to buy fresh tulips, there's another option. Attention, my friends, rubber tulips. I'm not kidding. This is rubber, just like rubber boots. In my opinion, rubber tulips are the ideal gift for a rubber woman. But if instead your girlfriend is a log, there's an option for you too, wooden tulips. By the way, they're much more expensive than fresh ones. On the other hand, they'll keep forever. In all fairness, it should be noted that in this market, you can also buy any plant, even those from the farthest corners of the planet. Plants of wondrous beauty, but they're sold here mainly as seeds and bulbs. Well, let's look at this package of tulips. Let's read the instruction. First, you need to dig a hole in the earth 10 centimeters, water it properly, plant the bulbs at a distance of 10 centimeters from each other, wait 4 to 5 months, then they'll grow up 40 or 50 centimeters, and then you can cut them. The most important thing is to not eat them. Well, this option is certainly good if you're retired, but if you are a city dweller like me, who would it take less than 10 minutes to forget where he planted the bulbs in his garden? Dutch engineers have developed a friendlier DIY flower just for you. Here it is. Let's pick. A masterpiece of Dutch flower ingenuity, my friends. Inside this can, the bulbs are already in a special biological casing. Let's read the instructions. Open the can, pour water in, put it under sunlight, and voila! Someday, you'll have your own unique, in this case, blue tulip on your windowsill. This is the perfect souvenir to bring from the flower market in Amsterdam. Canned tulips, $11. Having bought a can of tulips and spent the whole day in the markets of Amsterdam, it's time to get ready to go home. But before I go to pack my suitcases, I want to talk about the code of conduct in the local markets. Before you listen to the code of conduct for the markets in Amsterdam, let me make a small note. Sometimes it happens that some people who have visited Amsterdam remember very little of their time there. Therefore, the next time you come to the capital of the Netherlands, watch this part of our program again. Clear? Let's get started. Rule number 1. If I were to assess the local vendors on a 5-point scale, I would give them a 6 for their artistry, sense of humor, desire to help, and unobtrusiveness. But their main virtue is that though they're unlikely to give you a big discount, when you communicate with them, you don't feel like they are trying to cheat you. Rule number 2 is about a sense of humor. The locals have somehow managed to convince the whole world that eating herring in much the same way as the sword swallower eats his sword is the very Amsterdamian way to do it. And while naive tourists are trying to master this ridiculous skill, poking herring into their mouths, the local people quietly laugh at them and eat herring like all normal people do, with a fork and a knife. And this, by the way, is completely reliable information. It was shared with me by the very man who sold herring to Queen Beatrix herself in the Albert Cuypmarkt. Rule number 3. Local climate. No one likes it, because in the morning it may be -2 and then at lunchtime it may already be +20. But the locals have learned to deal with it. Take all the clothes that you have at home and put them on layer by layer, and then simply adjust the layers depending on how the temperature changes throughout the day. Rule number 4. The 4 most important symbols of Amsterdam are still tulips, herring, cheese, and stroopwafels. They are sold everywhere, in the city center, at the airport, but normal people buy them in the markets. The flower market, the Bloemen market, the Albert Cuypmarkt, both of which we visited today. At this very moment, millions of people are buying and selling something, somewhere, which means I must go there. My name's Alexander Pryanikov, and this was World Market. Good luck in all your dealings.